So the creative agency waits with bated breath. They've just revealed their ad or their poster, and they're waiting for the client's opinion. And the client says, well, that was shit. Feedback as sweeping general statements as that was shit, or unhelpful terms, I know it when I'll see it, are extremely inefficient. I think it's in the client's interest to not use these terms, right? Because imagine if you're the artist, the creative, and you go back to the drawing board and the world is just full of infinite possibilities. You've nothing to go off. All you know is that last attempt the client didn't like, right? So I think there is an onus on the client to be a bit more expressive and descriptive in their opinion, right? And if you're the artist, don't let them get away with that. I think it's going to help you 100-fold, and it's going to benefit both parties if that you kind of press and probe and peel back the layers and figure out what it is they didn't like. Ask questions like, okay, was there anything you liked about it? What bit did you least like? What part of that section did you least like? What aspect in that bit did you not like the most? So why do reviews as sophisticated as that was shit happen? I think it's because on a lot of creative pieces we kind of consume them and determine our opinions based on our emotional reactions or our unconscious opinions. So it can be very hard to articulate those abstract notions and feelings, and it can be very hard to do that if you're not well practiced in it, if you don't do it every day, if you haven't invested the time to do it at all. These clients, these approvers, might have their head in spreadsheets all day. They might be managing people 24/7. They might not be well versed in creative lingo and well practiced in doing it on a daily basis. So I think that's where it comes from, and in order to get past it, there's going to be an onus on both sides to try and talk the same language, to try and find a middle ground where they can communicate their opinions. So when we're trying to talk this mutual creative language, I think there are helpful terms and there are unhelpful terms. It's helpful to know the facts, right? We want this video to be 30 seconds long. We want the dimensions to be 1920 by 1080, right? Those are facts. Those, it's either 30 seconds or it's not. These are very helpful because they can't be open to interpretation, right? You can't make up your own seconds. You can't make up your own pixel or dimensions and stuff like that. Where it's unhelpful is these subjective terms that are open to interpretation. Stuff like funny or standard or quality, right? That, just the title of funny, the category of funny has so many different types underneath it. There's satire, there's wit, there's parody, there's fart jokes, there's pantomimes, what kind of funny do you mean, right? And they're open to interpretation too, in that Dave Chappelle, a lot of people find him funny, a lot of people find him offensive. What kind of funny are you looking for? Are you looking for a dark humor? And then there's standards. We need a higher standard. Okay, on what metric? Let's say, for example, pennies. The standard they aim for is one defect in every 100 products, right? They're moving so quickly, right? But let's say, I don't know, Jack Wills, they aim for a standard of one defect in 1 million products, right? That's where their standard is, in the amount of defects, right? And what are your standards? Are you looking for museum standard? Are you looking for, or more along the lines of social media standard or preschool standard? What metrics are you measuring this standard on, right? And people can have different standards. if you made 5 sales today, right, and you're trying to gauge if that was good or not, well, compared to Tony, who makes 2 sales on average a day, you know, you did really well. You did a very high standard. But compared to Lisa over there, she makes 8 sales a day. So compared to her standards, you were pretty poor, right? And then let's talk about quality, right? So, you know, someone might say a Prius is of good quality because it's very reliable and never breaks down, right? That its durability and reliability leads to quality. Someone might say a Mercedes Benz is of high quality, or a Tommy Hilfiger jumper is of high quality. And is that just because it was expensive? What is your determination of quality? For example, here's another one. We need a stronger image, right? And I would just challenge that statement. It's like, is it really stronger? Is stronger the word you want to use? You know, because stronger talks about muscles, right? It talks about strength, right? And this image, wait, so you want an image that can do bench presses better than this image, or you want an image that can do more deadlifts than this image. Is it stronger that you need to use, or are you looking for a more offensive image, or are you looking for a stronger? I even tried to use it there. Is it? Do you want more bold contrast in the colors? Do you want a higher contrast in the colors? Do you want more blurred background and a more bright foreground? What is it you mean by stronger? Is it larger text? Is it emboldened text? What is it you mean by stronger? I like to think of the whole scenario, the whole, one person um, giving the brief for a creative project and another person executing and creating the project. I like to think of it all as mental image matching. The client is going to have a mental image of what they think the finished product is going to be. They're going to have a mental image of what good looks like, and the artist, the creative, is going to develop a mental image, a mental image of the project, what good looks like based on the brief, right? And there's going to be interpretation, there's going to be assumptions, and what is going to be efficient and productive is the mental image matching. Can the artist, the creative, align their image of the project with the client's image of the project? And that's where the efficiency is going to come in. And the onus is on both parties. The onus is on the client to be descriptive and expressive in their language, to make as much an attempt as possible to be understood. And the artist is going to have to leave the jargon at home and kind of practice empathy and, probe and peel back the layers to find out what it is the client wants. I think it's no coincidence that they use cartoon drawings to storyboard films, because they exist on the same visual plane. You'll have a much better idea when you see a drawing of what they're going to do in the film, because it's a picture, and that's going to become a picture, right? That, if you use words like, let's get an image of inner city Dublin, that lends itself to both an image of, homeless people on the streets, and also extremely affluent shoppers, spending tons of money on Grafton Street. That words may fail to describe the visual, because a picture is made of 1,000 words and stuff like that. So for me, I would recommend in this mental image matching using references and samples, especially if it's visual. Well, actually, not just visual, but textual as well. So I think you could take a leaf out of Dr. Frankenstein's book and pull from multiple sources. You can say stuff like, I want the intro to be like this clip here. I want the middle section to be like this Tarantino scene. And I want the end to be like this toothpaste ad. And you're going to get a lot closer to what you want as a client in the finished product, because you were able to articulate with visual cues. Instead of getting caught up in this subjective nature of words, you can show visuals of what you want, and you'll be able to see, and the artist will be able to see. You might say, okay, I like this kind of image, and the artist will be able to see all of their terms in it. Okay, the composition, the mise-en-scene, and all sorts of things, So I think I'd recommend using references and samples. And that concludes this video. So thank you very much for viewing. I've been Thomas, and I hope this helps.